I see it. Okay. Good afternoon, Shamika. My name is Hope, and I'm here. You've been referred to me for your child's issue, and I just want to give you a little background about me that I've been in the field for about 10 years, and I've been working with this organization for about that long as well. And we're here today for you to discuss some of your concerns to see how we can help you and your son. I'd like you to start by just opening up, telling me about what's going on.
Um, of course, he struggles with horrible peers. He hangs out with the wrong people. And every time me and his father talk about the people he's hanging around, he gets really defensive. And I recently had some suspicions of him possibly using. I honestly didn't think it would be anything at all, but I wanted to scare him and say that this is the place where kids who don't obey their parents and kids who can't handle themselves in school and kids who can't stay with the right people, this is where they end up. And I wanted to come in here as kind of just a scare tactic a little bit to show him the reality of what he's doing. I found recently what I believe were, plastic bags in his room that was holding marijuana. I think the marijuana had been used, but he left the bags. And when I opened the drawer, it just reeked of marijuana. It was just really bad. And it scared me a little bit. But I was thinking, hopefully that's all he's doing. But then later on, it was, finding other things such as pipes and all kinds of other stuff in his room. His friend's mom called me and said that he and his friend was in his friend's room and the door was locked and she can smell the marijuana coming out of the room. And then she later went in and there was, a couple of empty, you know, alcohol bottles. And I just, for the life of me, it was just like, who is this kid? And I don't really know him anymore. He doesn't talk. He comes in. He doesn't eat dinner. He straight to his room, which is where he's using. And I even thought I've seen things where he's like trying to hide his marijuana uses. He's clearly using in my home, which is a no-no. But I've seen things where he's taking old toilet paper rolls and putting dry cleaner sheets into the thing and covering it up so I guess he could smoke out of it and it won't leave a smell, but clearly it's not working. My concern is that he's getting really out of control.
How long ago did you first start noticing these signs of his use?
When me and my husband and I got a divorce a year ago. I still call him my husband. And sometimes we still try to do these little family dinner things, and just to make it seem like it's not a lot has changed, but it has. And so I'll say a year ago, when all this stuff started happening, we started, a little bit over a year ago actually, we started to do the separation process. Just trying to see where everyone was going to live. How many times was he going to be at his dad's house? How many times of the week was he going to be at my house? And I would definitely say a year ago, because a year ago things were just a mess, and I imagine he has been going through a lot, but just couldn't tell either one of us because we were too busy butting heads with each other to even notice that we had a child to still worry about. And I'm just concerned that if he doesn't get help, this is going to spiral out of control.
So what I'm hearing is that this behavior you noticed was a year ago around the same time of your separation divorce. You've noticed, is that when his friends changed, as you mentioned earlier? He started having hanging with friends that
I think his friends were already a mess, but he knew better. He knew that, yeah, I can't do everything my friends do. He knows that his friends' parents are really loose people. Like, they'll let him do whatever, they'll let his friends do whatever, but he always had boundaries. But yeah, within that year, things just started changing. He would go out with them more. He wouldn't call when it's time for him to come home. Or if he was going to be late, he wouldn't call. And then one time, he didn't come home until like the wee hours of the morning, and I had to come and unlock the door. I was tempted to leave him out there actually, because coming in at 3 o'clock in the morning like you're grown, you don't run anything here. So it was just a big deal to me because those are just not boundaries we have in the home. But he did just start hanging out with these peers a little bit more. They were always there. I've always expected that they did drugs, but I just knew my kid. I knew he would not do that. He was a straight A honor roll student. He had it together. He would always, just let us know what was going on. If he was going out with friends to the movies, he'd tell us what movie, what time, how long the movie would be, what time we should expect him home. And it's just not like that anymore.
And now he doesn't share. He doesn't share with you, you're saying. Have you asked him about his use and addressed the smell that you in the bags you found in his room?
And I'm going to be honest, I really don't, because the worst thing for me is just to confirm what I know to be in my head that is happening. I want this to all be a lie. I want him to have a clean UA when he comes here and you guys drug test him for his stuff to see if there's anything in the system. I want it to be a clean UA. I want this to all be me blowing it out of proportion, my own emotional issues coming into play, my inabilities to get my own crap together. I want it to be me. I think if he came back with this all being true, this will just break me. This is to me a very this will break me, and I really don't really want to know the truth. But I honestly can't keep allowing him to go on the way he is. He is going to get a little girl pregnant. I can just tell he's just too hot out in these streets, and he doesn't want to pay attention to rules. He's not doing what he's supposed to do. He's not cleaning his room. Things are just different, and I just can't continue to allow this to go on anymore. So I brought him in here as a scare tactic to see that you could be living here for a couple of months if you don't get your crap together. And I wanted him to know that I'm very serious about this. But honestly, I haven't really addressed it. I just didn't want the fighting or he gets so angry, he screams at me if
I understand. It must be pretty alarming, concerning for you, this issue. You're in the right place. This is something that we can find out and confirm today. I mean, with a drug test, and as well as we have services that if there is an issue with substances, we do have treatment services, a multiple variety of different kinds, dependent on if he is, what level of care that he would need, as well as parental support to help you as well.
Yeah, I would love all those services. But honestly, I mean, as in denial as I may seem, I honestly don't think his use is as bad as I have blown it up in my head to be. I think it could just be. I don't think it's as bad as I've blown it up to be. I'm hoping it's not as bad as I have it in my head, but I think some of it could just be me taking things just and blowing them out of proportion. He says I do that all the time. And he's constantly saying I'm not using, I'm not doing anything. So, I mean, a part of me wants to believe him. But if he is lying, I guess these services are his next option.
Right.
Just as this is becoming out of control. And I'm losing control of it. He's losing control of it. I can tell there's problems. He's just not talking to me. And one thing I'm definitely interested in is family therapy, because I didn't get therapy for when I got a divorce from my husband. I didn't do any of that. And I have really, in myself, have shrouded in my own emotions. And here he is.
Okay.
Here he is.
Also provide family therapy as well. And if it would be beneficial, possibly for your ex-husband to come as well. What I'm hearing is that not only is, you suspect the drug use and found bags as well, but a lot of behaviors have changed in the past year. Lack of communication, from going to speaking to you freely, letting you know where he is, to not speaking to you at all.
Yeah.
And running, he's not coming home. That's very alarming for a parent, I'm assuming. But I mean, we could do an assessment, which includes the drug screen, as well as speak with your son to see if he'll disclose anything or not, and just see where he is. And we could do it. We have a number of different assessments we can do to determine whether or not he needs treatment.
Okay.
So we can start that right away.
All right.
Okay, so well, we'll go talk to him and we'll start the process now. Thank you for coming in.
Well, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Do you have any other questions before we end the session?
Not at this time. I have a million things going in my head that I'm sure will come about in the next week or so when we decide if he's going to even, if he comes into treatment. And I'm just really angry. I'm really pissed that we're here. The fact that we have to be here. I mean, who gets so down to the dumps of having to be here?
You know what?
Control of their children.
Let me tell you, this is not the lowest of the low. You still have your son, and we will. I assure you, if we cannot provide the services that you require, we know somebody that can. So there is hope. So don't worry. We're gonna get through this.
Well, thank you so much for giving me your time today.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah. I'll speak to you next time.
Okay, bye.
I'm in the sun. I'm burning up. Let's move. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said, don't worry. Duh.
Don't worry.
Don't worry, I got you. We're gonna do something, because if I can't help you, I'm gonna find somebody that can. Oh, we're still alive.
Alive.
Hi, teacher.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start now. That's pretty good. All right.
You're a good actress.
I act a lot, actually.
You do a lot of role play
for college.
Wait, what do you where do you work?
I work at Preferred Family Healthcare. This is a clinic. It's a bunch of clinics now, but we're everywhere now. So we do substance abuse, and they do both adults and adolescents. So, but now we also picked up developmental disability treatment too.
Oh, wow. Well, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Because you'll have a multitude or two different things that you'll have experience in as far as education.
Yeah. But okay, so I'm gonna just go in and start, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
So hello, my name is Shamika. Can I have your name?
Hi, my name is Hope.
Well, hello, Hope. How are you doing today?
I'm good. A little, nervous, anxious.
Okay.
I'm okay. I'm here.
Then that's good. I'm glad that you're here today. Just to give a little bit of background about myself. I am a substance abuse counselor here with the agency. I've been a substance abuse counselor here for 4 years, and I have my licensure and my credentials through the Missouri Credentialing Board here in Missouri. And I'm also a program manager that I have a dual role here. So I'm going to be just talking about the diagnosis today that we've given your child. I know you've been through the intake process, and I know you sat through a number of providers today. So I want to be brief and get us through, the treatment recommendations and options at this point. So just a little bit more about confidentiality. I know you are aware of some of the screening processes that we did concerning confidentiality. I know you've been through that process, but just again to remind you, any reporting of suicidal ideation, we do report that and hotline that, and also provide referrals to psych hospitals or any general hospital. Any reports of wanting to harm anyone, we also have to alert that individual due to a duty to warn. And any crimes committed on our campus, of course, that is also not a private, protected, confidentiality-based conversation. We will have to report that as well. And if there's any reported abuse, we also are mandated reporters in that sense that we have to alert the authorities as well and make a hotline call. So just want to let you know before we get into discussing any pertinent information about your son concerning treatment recommendations. So what initially brought you guys in today? I know you've gone through the process here of the screening and the initial intake services. But what brought you guys in today specifically?
Well, you mean the original, the start of the concern, the
Yeah,
first
just tell me a little
that I
bit
knew there
about.
was a problem?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One night I'm sitting on the couch watching a movie, and my child comes home, apparently, obviously, obviously high off
Oh,
of something, and I couldn't even speak right. I think somebody dropped him off at the door,
oh,
and he didn't even walk himself because he's stumbling inside. And I know it was more than alcohol because I have seen him drunk before as well. Anyway, I didn't want to speak then. I helped him to bed, and I addressed it the next day. And he pretty much sat there and lied to me, even though it was very apparent that there was something wrong. And it's just like he's been going out a lot, and he lost his job. He was supposed to be at work. He told me he was at work. They told me that he was fired weeks prior to that. So every time that I thought he was going to work, he's been going someplace else. God only knows with who. And now it's kind of like it wasn't the last time I saw him high. The first time was not the last time. It's
mm.
increasing. I mean, more and more. So sometimes he doesn't come home, and I don't want to kick him out. I don't know what to do. I've never dealt with anything like this before. You know, it's always been other people.
And I definitely can understand where you're coming from. So it seems today that a lot of your concerns have been surrounding this potential use issue here, in which you've known that he's come home and he's been inebriated, and he's also lying to you about work placement when he's lost his job. And so you're seeing, it seems as if you're picking up on a lot of his discrepancies that he's telling you versus what is actually going on in his reality, so to speak. Is that right?
Yeah, he's lying to me, and I kind of sometimes I sense that he's lying, but it's been like some things have been confirmed, like his job, me calling his job, and he's not there, and he was fired. So all those times he was telling me he was going to work for like 2 weeks, every single time he told me that, he lied.
Mm-hmm.
He told me he wasn't using, yet I know he was,
Mm-hmm.
and I need some kind of confirmation or something because I've seen what happened. You know, I've seen what happens to some people on drugs. You know, I know that it's a disease and it progresses, and I can't see it getting worse. And God only knows who he's with on the streets. So I need some help.
I definitely can hear a lot of your concerns. It seems as if you're upset, but you're also fighting for your child, and that's definitely understandable in this situation, very much so. Um, just going on into some more. You said that this wasn't his first time using. So when was the first time that you?
So I was saying his first time wasn't his last time. Ever since that time I saw him that one day, and I was told him, and I helped him to bed and asked him the next day, and he lied. I've seen him high again.
Right,
Up
so
until this point.
and so this has been consistent, persistent use.
Yeah, it seems to be happening more and more. Like that time, there was a period of time I didn't notice any, like he wasn't acting strange. But I mean, there was a time we were at home and he came out of his room and something didn't seem right with him.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminded me of the night that I saw him come home, except not as bad. There's something not right with his eyes. I know my son, but so I think he was on something when he was using while he was at home.
Yes. And so I know you really want to confirm some suspicions, and so we've done some drug screening, and we also got his understanding of some of his drug use as well. And so at this time, I do want to confirm that your son has pretty much fessed up to polysubstance use, and he has a polysubstance use disorder. And pretty much what that means is that he has been using 3 types of drugs specifically that has been charted. And so a lot of that has been prescription drugs, opiate use, and alcohol use. So I just want to understand a little bit about how, knowing this diagnosis and knowing that it is on the papers here, and that's something that we're going to be working with him on. Like, tell me just a little bit about does this confirm your suspicions, or just tell me a little bit about how you feel at this moment about these diagnoses.
I knew that he was using and all that. But I mean, too, So this diagnosis, it's like, that means he's a substance abuser. Is that what you said?
Well, you know, and that's a term that we don't really necessarily want to attach to anybody. We don't want to do labels. But what he has reported and what we have been able to screen in his drug screening is that he is using these substances specifically. We're going to send them off to the lab to see how much of these substances he's been using. But as he has reported, he has been avidly using these 3 substances the most. And so he's going to be given a team that's going to help him work through understanding just the education of his drug use, the harm that he's putting himself in, the harm that he's putting through his body, putting his body through, and just kind of giving him some information on what he's using. Because a lot of kids, as we know, come in, they really don't understand everything about their drug of choice or their use. So definitely there are some things that we're going to work with there, but it's also seeming as if there may be some stressors that he's going through. Do you think you can elaborate on those, as he says that he really doesn't want to talk as much about those, but I wanted to see your take on some of the stressors he may be experiencing that can help us work with him and getting him a team set up and coming up with some treatment recommendations for him.
Actually, like I said, he doesn't talk that much to me, but I know that he was really big. Like, it was very important for him to work, and he was getting a regular check, and now he doesn't have a job, so he doesn't have money. And once I found out that, and my suspicions were that he was using, I stopped providing money because my money is not going towards his drugs. So money could be a stressor. You know, not having employment could be a stressor. Home issues at home. I mean, me and him don't get along. I know that's a stressor for me. I don't know if he cares or not, but he hardly talks. He stays in his room most of the time. But other than that, I don't know what's going on outside of the home, at school or with his friends. But those are the things that I do know about.
It seems as if some things that we can help you guys with is maybe opening up lines of communication. Do you feel like that's something you guys want to work on?
I know I do. I don't know how he feels, but if somebody could help with that, that would be well taken. I really want that.
And so yes, definitely we have family therapy services. We will definitely set him up with a family therapist. He will be set up with a case manager, a substance abuse counselor. And one thing I wanted to ask, just because he was reluctant to speak on this as well, just from your side of things, has he experienced any trauma? You know, that you can report on, so that can help us to figure out his team as well.
Oh, not that I can think off the top of my head. I would remember something traumatic for him. No, I can't think of anything.
And that's okay. We was just trying to get the full picture here. We like to ask both clients and parents, you know, going through the process, and some similar questions, just so that we can have a really conclusive understanding of the problems, whether they're at home, the environment, the stressors that are in either one of you guys' life. And I know that you're being his primary, you know, care provider, his mom, you know, you will have some things that he probably won't want to report, especially because no one comes here, you know, willingly sometimes.
Right.
So I just wanted to get the full picture. But it seems that you have a lot of concerns as well that you would like to fix. And so we just really want to work with you guys on creating more communication so that you can feel more comfortable when he comes home with what is he doing when he's with his friends, what is he doing when he's in his room, trying to open up those lines of communication so that you guys can have a better home environment with being with each other, which is extremely important as he will transition back home with you. And so at this time, I wanted to let you know that we are bringing him into inpatient treatment. And I know there was a concern of his. I'm not sure if you're concerned with that. Tell me a little bit about how you feel with him coming into inpatient treatment.
I wasn't aware he was going inpatient. Is that like 3-4 weeks?
Yeah, it's about a 45 to 60 day program. And so it can be up to 8 weeks actually. So it can be some time, but those are just our treatment recommendations. What do you feel?
Well, I feel that I'm not very well-rounded in this area, but I know
that we need some help. So even if he has to stay 8 weeks, I, I'm I'm down with it, definitely. And I'd like more information in the future. I'd like to talk a little bit, get more information about like the process. If you don't mind, maybe after, but before I leave, you can give me some more information. Like, do you have any?
Yes, we definitely have resources, and we have our client handbook, which we give both to the clients and to their parents, and it just pretty much explains the different programs. And so he is in considered residential, which is our inpatient program.
Right.
It is up to a 60-day program here, and what he will do is have an opportunity to be enmeshed into a therapeutic environment. And what that means is sometimes kids who have more severe substance use disorders need to be put into an environment where they can gain the skills without the interaction or the distraction from the outside world for several weeks. And what that means is he won't have this close access to his peers, which probably are negative influences in his life if he's reporting that he's with different people. So what it does is just take the distraction out of everything. It allows him to be in a central environment and gain these skills, gain these resources, gain community linkages without the distraction or the temptation of the outside world. And once he has built up a strength in his recovery process, we will then allow him to return home and use those skills that he's gained in the program to be better in the community, to have more pro-social behaviors at home, more pro-social behaviors in school, in his community environment. And it will just allow him to get more stable in his recovery process so that he can decide, if, sobriety is the way of life for him. But it's just to get stability, just getting that stability, helping them to, see a psychiatrist, see a counselor regularly, a therapist regularly, so that they get these issues out, and then of course can go back home and use these skills to be successful.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So as you guys are leaving, as you leave today, he's going to be brought down into the residential unit. But we're going to give you these resources, and then you can feel free to call us at any time. Questions, any concerns. We have a staff that is available 24 hours a day. And so if you call and you just want to talk a little bit about, just anything that comes to your mind, if you just need someone to talk to yourself, we can definitely set you up with your own counseling providing staff just to help you get through the process. And there's also groups that you can attend that we have as well, such as family therapy groups on the weekends. And we'll also be discussing with you passes as he earns his days here and gains, more privileges in the program. But definitely we're going to give you those resources when you leave. So at this time, I would like to conclude our interview. And I just want to ask if you have any questions at this time before we end.
No, you've been very thorough and helpful. I appreciate you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye. All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast at this time.